Welcome, Australia, to the Carlton Radisson Hotel in Melbourne. This is football's night of nights, its most glittering occasion. Once again, the biggest names, the most famous faces, have gathered as we prepare to add to an honour roll stretching back 71 years. Champions of the past, like Fitzroy's Kevin Murray.
It's going to be a great night. Whoever wins it, congratulations to them.
And Malcolm Blight. As are young heroes like David Neitz with the lady in red, Amber Haywood.
Full couch. David.
Here's one of this year's favourites, Richmond's Wayne Campbell, escorting Seven Sports' Kate Payton. And another man expected to poll well, North superstar Wayne Carey. Former winner John Platten is here with Hawk skipper Jason Dunstall and his wife Debbie. Perhaps the disappointment of Richmond's loss on Saturday might be erased tonight for acting captain Matty Knights. The Geelong team came by coach. Amongst them, Paul Couch, himself a past winner. Fresh from overseas, Victorian Premier Jeff Kennett.
Wayne Campbell.
From St Kilda, recently retired skipper Danny Frawley and his wife Anita. And a man for St Kilda's future, Robert Harvey. Don't these two make a glamorous couple? Carlton's Stephen Silvani and fiancée Jo Bailey. From Collingwood, their skipper, Gavin Brown. Will the Irish eyes of Jimmy Steins sparkle again this evening? And here's Peter Matera, second in the Brownlow count in 1994. And here come the votes. The AFL auditors, the international accounting firm of KPMG, have again supervised the removal of votes from the vault at Armaguard. The seals will be broken in just a few moments. From the Carlton Radisson Hotel, Seven Sport welcomes you to this live telecast of the counting of votes in the 1995 Charles Brownlow Medal. Your host this evening, Bruce McAvaney.
Good evening, Australia. They are all here, aren't they? The contenders for Australian football's most prestigious award, the Charles Brownlow Medal. Nervous players, two very nervous coaches, David Parkin and Gary Ayres, and many former champions who have enjoyed the spotlight on this night over a number of years. Well, last year, Greg Williams was an overwhelming favourite, correctly so. But this year, the field is wide open. And as I look around this ballroom, there are at least a dozen chances. Perhaps the Waynes, North's Wayne Carey, I should say, hope we get that right tonight, Richmond's Wayne Campbell, have attracted the most attention. But in little more than 2 hours' time, the speculation will be laid to rest as another name, or maybe more than one, will be added to the football legend.
Mac and fries, please. Hi, Mum.
What the?
Dad.
Allow us to highlight a few of the Mitsubishi Verada's features. The Mitsubishi Verada V6Xi.
Mobile have asked me to demonstrate exactly how many cards their card option network accepts. Fair enough. In all, it's over 300 credit NetPOS cards. including all the biggies and their reward programs, like Telstra Visa.
Paying by card, sir.
They take mine, they'll take yours, wherever you see card option at Mobile and Quicks.
This week, Fossies has dropped the price on all new season's children's wear. You'll save 25% on fashion for babies and toddlers. Save 25% on all boys' fashion. And save 25% on girls' fashion. Fly into Fossies and pick up a bargain with 25% off new season's fashion for kids.
Is it expensive to send a letter or document from Melbourne to Brisbane with Express Post? No. Prepaid envelopes are available at your post office from just $3, which is a drop in the ocean, really. Express Post, the cheapest next-day delivery.
So, what do you think?
Oh, the Beijing thing. Coffee?
Yeah. Oh, no thanks.
Well, it's big. It's a hell of a big commitment. We can do it. We'll have to gear up, move quick. And if we don't, you know he's going to pick it up, don't you? Yeah, I know. Look, it's a great contract. Great opportunity, but I don't know. Are we ready?
Chris, are we ready?
Mate, we're overdue. Okay. All right, but it means increasing our bank loan. You know that.
At the National, we make it our business to understand yours, so when the opportunity arrives, we can tailor a loan to make the most of it.
It's 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, sound. I couldn't go. No, here. Here?
Night, Dave. Chris.
Night. Oh, Sandra. The bank will be here in the morning.
National Australia Bank, tailoring banking to your needs.
The thrills of competing, the dreams of winning, the challenge of gladiators.
But what you need most is courage.
All your favourites on Gladiators at the special time 7:30 Wednesday on 7.
Which commercials cop a thrashing this week? Catch the naughty, nutty.
Tomorrow's sunrise will be at dawn.
New Full Frontal.
These beautiful plants from our police nursery.
Full Frontal, Thursday on 7.
Who are the chances for the Brownlow this year? It's a field of great players and the winner's not clear. Wayne Carey's a favourite, he's strong and he's tough. He's the pride of North Melbourne, but has he done enough? He can outmark the best and kick it a mile. He's a player of courage in the classical style. Adrian Fletcher stands out, he inspires with his class. And Geelong and St Kilda, they both let him pass. Then there's Wayne Campbell, who's had a top season. If Richmond's performing, then he's the reason. He's brilliant and fair, and he just keeps on going. He starts all the moves, and he gets their game flowing. Now there's also a bomber that's had a good year. His name's Michael Long. He's the one they all fear. He's an athlete, a dasher, when away in full flight. And his balking and bouncing, 'tis a glorious sight. But those down at Melbourne aren't conceding a thing, for they have a maestro whose praises they sing. Gary Lyon's the one who strikes the right note, and he plays in a way that will get him the vote. But the Saints have a big chance, for they have the one that's a champion of champions, football's top gun. He's elusive, he's balanced, Robert Harvey's his name, and if he wins the medal, he deserves all the fame that goes with the Brownlow, the game's highest award. It means more than money, it's the ultimate reward.
And to open this formal meeting of the Australian Football League, it's my pleasure to welcome the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ross Oakley.
Thank you, Bruce, and good evening and welcome to this 71st presentation of the Charles Brownlow Medal count. We're delighted that the Premier of Victoria, the Honourable Jeff Kennett MP, and his wife Felicity are here with us tonight, and with him the Honourable Tom Reynolds MP, Minister for Sport, Recreation and Racing, together with his wife Helen. May I also acknowledge the support of the Carlton Radisson Hotel and Mr Gary Fenton and Mr Brian Mellon of the Seven Network for their kind support of the evening, along with our AFL corporate sponsor, Coca-Cola, represented tonight by Mr Peter Tribes. Tonight's gathering is a properly constituted meeting of the AFL with all commissioners present. I'd like now to introduce the members of the counting team. Mr Mark Patterson, Football Administration Manager. Mr Ian Collins, General Manager, Football Operations. Ms Jill Lindsay, Ground Operations Manager, and Mr Dean Moore, Manager, Football Projects. In accordance with AFL Rule 19, at the conclusion of each match, the 3 field umpires conferred and recorded their idea of the 3 fairest and best players in each of the 176 home and away matches played this season. The votes were then sealed in an envelope marked Brownlow Medal. In the case of 2 or more players receiving an equal number of votes, each shall be declared the joint winner, and each of these players shall receive a Brownlow Medal. Any player who has been found guilty of an offence in a home and away match, except for a time-wasting offence, shall be ineligible to receive the medal. Thank you, Bruce.
Ross, thank you very much. Well, we have 22 rounds ahead of us. We begin with the first round that kicked off on the last Friday in March.
The 95 season spotlight fell first on North and Adelaide at the MCG. Miserly Mick Martin, brilliant. The Roos 3-point triumph, the closest match of the round. The Dockers made an immediate impression, and led brilliantly by Ben Allen, almost upset Richmond. Dunstall kicked 6 in a regulation Waverley result against the Bears. While down the road at Geelong, Ablett, Couch and Ben Graham held Melbourne at bay. Michael Long's comeback inspired the Bombers to a 74-point win. 86,000 fans watched Dean and Bradley run the Pies ragged. And while Tony Lockett had changed jumpers, he showed the same slick style against Footscray, although Little Liver helped the Dogs home. Finally in Perth, the Eagles were simply too talented.
Round 1, North Melbourne versus Adelaide. Adelaide, T McGuinness, 1 vote. Adelaide, C McDermott, 2 votes. North Melbourne, W Swass, 3 votes. Richmond versus Fremantle. Richmond, S Wigney, 1 vote. Fremantle, T Ridley, 2 votes. Richmond, B Gale, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Brisbane. Hawthorn, A McDonald, 1 vote. Hawthorn, J Dunstall, 2 votes. Hawthorn, S Crawford, 3 votes. Geelong versus Melbourne. Geelong, P Couch, 1 vote. Geelong, B Graham, 2 votes. Geelong, M Mansfield, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Essendon. Essendon, R Ollerenshaw, 1 vote. Essendon, S Alessio, 2 votes. Essendon, M Long, 3 votes. Carlton versus Collingwood. Carlton, G Williams, 1 vote. Carlton, A Mackay, 2 votes. Carlton, M Clappe, 3 votes. Footscray versus Sydney. Footscray, L Cameron, 1 vote. Sydney, M Bays, 2 votes. Footscray, T Liberatore, 3 votes. West Coast versus St Kilda. West Coast, B Heady, 1 vote. West Coast, C Lewis, 2 votes. West Coast, P Matera, 3 votes.
Spider Burton looked a big league natural, pulling down 9 marks in another spirited but unsuccessful Docker display. John Longmire propelled the Kangaroos through a last-term comeback against Melbourne, but there was no let-up for Fitzroy at the hands of the fresh-legged Blues. Dunstall found his range and his name in the book, as Footscray found the formula to beat Hawthorn. Back at the MCG, Collingwood had the game wrapped up, or so it seemed, until Jason Ball produced one out of the box to get the Eagles up by 4 points. Richmond had less of the ball, but more of the score. Meanwhile, Brisbane led from start to finish, due mainly to tiny Troy Clark. The round ended in Sydney when the little-known Troys, Luff and Gray, took top billing from Lockett and Ablett, but the Cats clawed back for an unlikely win.
Round 2, Fremantle versus Essendon. Essendon, J. Hurd, 1 vote. Fremantle, S. Chisholm, 2 votes. Essendon, P. Somerville, 3 votes. Melbourne versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, W. Swass, 1 vote. Melbourne, D. Irving, 2 votes. North Melbourne, D. King, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Footscray. Hawthorn, J. Taylor, 1 vote. Footscray, T. Lane, 2 votes. Footscray, L. Cameron, 3 votes. Carlton versus Fitzroy. Carlton, M. Clappe, 1 vote. Carlton, A. Christou, 2 votes. Carlton, S. Camperale, 3 votes. Collingwood versus West Coast. Collingwood, L. Walker, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Burns, 2 votes. Collingwood, B. James, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Richmond. Richmond, M. Richardson, 1 vote. Richmond, P. Broderick, 2 votes. Richmond, W. Campbell, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Adelaide. Brisbane, R. Lyon, 1 vote. Brisbane, R. Champion, 2 votes. Brisbane, T. Clark, 3 votes. Sydney versus Geelong. Geelong, P. Riccardi, 1 vote. Geelong, K. Hinkley, 2 votes. Sydney, P. Kelly, 3 votes.
Brereton was reborn a magpie, but no kid was going to stop God. His 7 led the Cats to a comfortable 27-point decision. Fitzroy was penciled in as a round 3 chance, but Fremantle wrote its name into the history books. Captain Allen best in win number 1. At the Wacker, West Coast controlled the clash of the Giants. Pike and Jakovic cutting the Roos down to just 5 goals. Richmond stayed afloat longest on a rain-sodden Easter Sunday. Just 9 goals kicked all day. Things were brighter in Brisbane, Scott McIver booting the Bears clear in a thriller. Jarman's 30 possessions shut out the Saints. Kernahan's 10 goals put pay to the Doggies. While Melbourne caved in again after leading throughout. This time to Steve Alessio and the Bombers.
Round 3, Fitzroy versus Fremantle. Fitzroy, S. Atkins, 1 vote. Fremantle, C. Burrows, 2 votes. Fremantle, S. Watters, 3 votes. Geelong versus Collingwood. Geelong, P. Riccardi, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Couch, 2 votes. Geelong, S. Brewer, 3 votes. West Coast versus North Melbourne. West Coast, C. Mainwaring, 1 vote. West Coast, J. Ball, 2 votes. West Coast, G. Jakovic, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Richmond. Hawthorn, S. Stevenson, 1 vote. Richmond, D. Callaway, 2 votes. Richmond, C. Bond, 3 votes. Adelaide versus St Kilda. Adelaide, N. Smart, 1 vote. Adelaide, M. Risciuto, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. McKinnon, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Sydney. Brisbane, R. Champion, 1 vote. Sydney, M. Bays, 2 votes. Sydney, E. Considine, 3 votes. Essendon versus Melbourne. Essendon, D. Buick, 1 vote. Melbourne, D. Neitz, 2 votes. Essendon, S. Alessio, 3 votes. Footscray versus Carlton. Carlton, A. Christou, 1 vote. Footscray, S. West, 2 votes. Carlton, S. Kernahan, 3 votes.
Well, one man who's polling very well so far isn't with us tonight. He's in the Fairfield Hospital, suffering from a touch of food poisoning. He joins us now, Wayne Schwass. Wayne, thanks for giving up your time, but we didn't expect you to be seeing you laid on your back in a hospital. How are you going? A lot of your friends are here tonight and watching through Channel 7 around Australia.
I didn't picture myself being here, Bruce, but slowly getting better. Just had a bad case of food poisoning over the weekend and continue on from Sunday to Monday.
I won't ask you where you ate on Saturday night.
I didn't eat at all.
Wayne Carey thought you were one of the favourites tonight. Do you give yourself a chance?
I think Duck's trying to be very nice and polite there, but no, I don't really give myself much of a chance. I think it's a very open race today and, you know, anybody could win.
And a cheerio to your North Melbourne teammates, coaching staff and fans who are in the room tonight?
Yeah, cheerio to them, and I wish that I could be there, but unfortunately not, so hopefully they all have a good night.
Well, Wayne, if we give you a ring in a couple of hours' time, answer the phone, it means you've won.
Yeah, that's providing they haven't given me any pethidine, Bruce. I can't make a promise, mate.
Good on you. Wayne Schwass, who is recovering from food poisoning at the Fairfield Hospital. Going pretty well so far, isn't he? We're going to take a break. Back from the Carlton Radisson after this.
There's a pink lady and she hasn't got any clothes on and she's sort of leaning back. She hasn't got any clothes on, she's leaning back on this pole, which is the lamp. It was sort of like a pink lady and she had all these drapes coming down.
Light ice for extreme refreshment on tap.
Who holds the record for the most goals this season? Who holds the record for the highest score in a grand final? Who holds the record for the most games ever played? Who holds the record for the most premierships? And who holds the record for the most exciting grand final ever? Your newsagent. Get hold of the special souvenir AFL Grand Final footy record.
Generation Lantra. From $22,990, it'll get your motor running.
Love this and that at the Suzanne sale. Like this and that and this. Love the prices. You'll love it all at the Suzanne sale.
This goes with that at Suzanne.
See you later.
I'll see you. Brad, you've had a few men, so maybe I should drive, huh? What do you reckon?
No, I'm all right.
Want a bit? No, thanks. Look, man, I'll drive. Here.
Get in the car.
You shouldn't be driving.
No, it's okay. Hey, Joey.
Come on.
What's this? Hey, cut it out.
Pull over now.
Please.
Joey, I killed my brother.
On
Blue Heelers.
What time do you call this? Chris Riley?
Slipped in.
No, it's not Chris Riley.
I'm not afraid of commitment.
Is there a wedding on the cards?
When I decide to do something, I've just got a feeling about it, all right?
And every parent's darkest fear.
Don't have this old mine shaft.
But can Tom risk one life to save another?
What we're going to do, we're going to try and lower Maggie down to get the kid out.
It's the drama Australia has taken to its heart. Blue Heelers, followed by Jerry Seinfeld's American Comedy Awards, Tuesday on 7.
Welcome back to the Carlton Radisson. Bobby Skilton's here tonight. Bobby Skilton, one of only 4 men in 71 years to have won the Brownlow Medal on 3 occasions in 59, 63, 68. Great to see you here, Skilts, tonight at the Brownlow. More than 5 million people attended the AFL home and away season, and there was no round more spectacular than round 4, when fans in 5 states over 5 days saw our great game.
Footy over 5 days. The crowds loved it, and so did Fremantle. Chisholm and Waters damaging Geelong, even with Hocking back. In Melbourne, St Kilda made a late run at Hawthorn, until Darren Jarman stepped in, and Footscray added to the D's woes. Lockett returned from a stomach ulcer and went for the doctor against Fitzroy. His 7 goals and Paul Roos's ground play, the difference. It was an old-fashioned scrap at Football Park, the Crows getting the upper hand when it counted. Ironically, former Eagle Matthew Connell had 32 possessions and took 9 marks. The forward power of Kernahan and Spalding was too much for Brisbane. And on Monday night, Richmond flexed its growing muscle to flatten North Melbourne. Then came the match of the year. 94,800 at the MCG. Essendon and Collingwood. Masiti gave the Bombers drive. Rocker converted for the Pies. The last of his 9 tied things up.
Round 4. Fremantle versus Geelong. Fremantle, B. Allen, 1 vote. Fremantle, S. Waters, 2 votes. Fremantle, S. Chisholm, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn, M. Graham, 1 vote. Hawthorn, D. Pritchard, 2 votes. Hawthorn, S. Crawford, 3 votes. Sydney versus Fitzroy. Fitzroy, D. Hawkins, 1 vote. Sydney, G. Rose, 2 votes. Sydney, D. Kapler, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Footscray. Footscray, T. Lane, 1 vote. Melbourne, J. Hilton, 2 votes. Footscray, R. Smith, 3 votes. Adelaide versus West Coast. Adelaide, C. McDermott, 1 vote. Adelaide, M. Risciuto, 2 votes. West Coast, G. Jakovich, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Carlton. Carlton, E. Spalding, 1 vote. Carlton, C. Bradley, 2 votes. Carlton, S. Kernahan, 3 votes. Richmond versus North Melbourne. Richmond, S. Turner, 1 vote. Richmond, M. Richardson, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Gale, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Essendon. Essendon, R. Ollerenshaw, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Rocker, 2 votes. Collingwood, N. Buckley, 3 votes.
4 games on the Saturday, and Footscray won the closest. Runners like Cameron, Chisholm and Kickett dominated, and the Dockers fell short on the last kick of the day. The Tigers' run continued, even though Free went down with a knee, and Fletcher snared 35 touches, while Couch managed 34 possessions as the Cats crushed Fitzroy by 15 goals. Across in Perth, Turley returned for the Eagles and provided Neil Baum with more heartache in a 16-point win. Mill Hannah was in everything as Carlton brought North Melbourne down again. And Hawthorn kept the Pies to 4 goals at a wet Waverley. Piggy and the Rat revelling in the mud. It was raining at Optus Oval as well. Goals, that is. Mercury and Buick playing perfect wet weather footy as St Kilda sunk further into the mire. And at three-quarter time in Sydney, the Crows were heading for a comfortable win, only to become spectators as the Swans added 11 goals 9 in one of the club's best ever victories. Skipper Kelly, the star.
Round 5. Richmond versus Brisbane. Richmond, D. Burke, 1 vote. Brisbane, M. Voss, 2 votes. Richmond, C. Bond, 3 votes. Geelong versus Fitzroy. Geelong, P. Brown, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Riccardi, 2 votes. Geelong, P. Couch, 3 votes. Footscray versus Fremantle. Footscray, T. Liberatore, 1 vote. Footscray, L. Cameron, 2 votes. Fremantle, S. Chisholm, 3 votes. West Coast versus Melbourne. West Coast, C. Turley, 1 vote. Melbourne, A. Lovell, 2 votes. West Coast, J. Ball, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Carlton. Carlton, B. Pearce, 1 vote. North Melbourne, M. Martin, 2 votes. Carlton, M. Hannah, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Collingwood. Hawthorn, N. Holland, 1 vote. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 2 votes. Hawthorn, J. Platten, 3 votes. Essendon versus St Kilda. Essendon, G. Wanganeen, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Buick, 2 votes. Essendon, M. Mercury, 3 votes. Sydney versus Adelaide. Sydney, A. Dunkley, 1 vote. Sydney, G. Rose, 2 votes. Sydney, P. Kelly, 3 votes.
So a rookie from Fremantle leading after 5 rounds, and there are 2 unbeaten teams after 5 rounds, Richmond and Carlton. The rest, they were moving on up.
Just who do you think you are? Stop acting like some kind of star. Just who do you think you are? Take it like a man, baby, if that's what you are. 'Cause I'm moving on up, you're moving on out, moving on up. Nothing can stop me. Moving on up, you're moving on out. Time to break free. Nothing can stop me. Moving on up, moving on up, moving on up. Moving on up, moving on up, moving on up. Moving on up, moving on up, moving on up.
He gave me flowers. But all men do that. He took me to the opera. But that's expected. No. I only knew he truly loved me when I asked him for the thing he cherished most. And he let me have it. But then, life's like that in a Lancer.
People ask me for all sorts of recommendations, but for heartburn and indigestion, I only recommend my Lanta, now in new convenient roll tabs. I recommend the antacid that was recommended to me.
Mylanta roll tabs, mighty relief, mighty fast.
Down to half forward goes the footy. Kernahan wins it. Left foot. Goal! The Cream! The Cream has kicked the goal. Look at
What happens when you put the world's funniest people together in one room?
I just had to.
Jerry Seinfeld's about to find out.
I am not the host.
On the all-new Comedy Awards.
I am not acting. No!
It's a night of fun with the stars being themselves.
That's how you talk to your mother?
Including Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Tom Hanks, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jim Carrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Helen Hunt, Ted Danson, Kelsey Grammer. The all-new Jerry Seinfeld's Comedy Awards, 9:30 Tuesday on 7.
Brilliant drama in a movie-length premiere. The Governor, soon.
Welcome back to the Carlton Radisson on 1995 Brownlow Medal night. Astonishingly, Collingwood and Melbourne were without a win after 6 rounds, and the two unbeaten teams, Carlton and also Richmond, were in for a shock.
The Crows regained face with the Adelaide crowd by holding out the rugged demons, none giving more than Mark Prosciutto. The battle for the wooden spoon went Bernie's way, but he can't get the Brownlow votes, leaving Mark Zanotti the favourite with 28 possessions in an 11-point triumph. Carlton led the reigning premiers all day, but lost Diesel in the process. Ratton was the Blues' best, but Glenn Jakovich was brilliant. 13 of 32 touches coming from marks. Ablett pulled on the gloves and pulled in 10 big grabs and 9 goals as the Dogs bit the dust, leaving Richmond to show up Collingwood's injury woes. Maxfield eye-catching along the wing. The Roos rebounded at Hawthorn's expense. Carey the pick of the mob. While Michael Long weaved his web around the Bears at Optus Oval, leaving McAdam with foreign boots full of blood after the Bears' gear was stolen. And the round ended in Perth with more credibility for the Dockers. John Hutton booting 8 at his 3rd league club, Abraham bolting away in his 4th league game. Lockett tried, but the Swans sank badly.
Round 6. Adelaide versus Melbourne. Adelaide, M. Prosciutto, 1 vote. Melbourne, K. Dyson, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Bickley, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Fitzroy. St Kilda, J. Peckett, 1 vote. Fitzroy M. Zanotti, 2 votes. Fitzroy S. Atkins, 3 votes. Carlton versus West Coast. Carlton F. Brown, 1 vote. Carlton A. McKay, 2 votes. West Coast G. Jakovich, 3 votes. Footscray versus Geelong. Geelong G. Ablett, 1 vote. Geelong P. Riccardi, 2 votes. Geelong J. Barnes, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Richmond. Richmond P. Broderick, 1 vote. Richmond M. Knights, 2 votes. Richmond M. Richardson, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Hawthorn. North Melbourne M. Roberts, 1 vote. North Melbourne W. Carey, 2 votes. North Melbourne J. Blakey, 3 votes. Essendon versus Brisbane. Brisbane G. McAdam, 1 vote. Essendon J. Hurd, 2 votes. Essendon M. Long, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Sydney. Fremantle S. Chisholm, 1 vote. Fremantle W. Abraham, 2 votes. Fremantle B. Allen, 3 votes.
Richmond makes it 7 on end by holding off the Crows. Modra returned to form with 5, but for sheer weight of numbers, Matty Knights wins out with 38 damaging disposals. Another big crowd at the G, this time to see an error-riddled Carlton-Essendon clash. Ratton shut the Bombers down and got the Blues home in a close one. St Kilda broke through against Footscray. Harvey back from injury, making all the difference. Minus Dunstall and Platten, Hawthorn surprised the Cats, although Ablett managed 5. North went through the motions against Fitzroy, and Collingwood was another to score its first win, despite the desperation of Bays. Inspired by skipper Gary Lyon, Melbourne joined the party, breaking the ice over the Bears. And the round ended in Subiaco with the inaugural Western Derby. The Eagles were at their best, with Heady, Matera and Evans burying the Dockers by 85 points.
Round 7. Richmond versus Adelaide. Richmond M. Gale, 1 vote. Richmond J. Tape, 2 votes. Richmond M. Knights, 3 votes. Carlton versus Essendon. Essendon D. Fletcher, 1 vote. Carlton M. Sexton, 2 votes. Essendon M. Long, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Footscray. Footscray R. Smith, 1 vote. St Kilda S. Lowe, 2 votes. St Kilda R. Harvey, 3 votes. Geelong versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn S. Stevenson, 1 vote. Hawthorn P. Deere, 2 votes. Hawthorn D. Jarman, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne W. Carey, 1 vote. North Melbourne W. Swass, 2 votes. Fitzroy M. Zanotti, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Sydney. Collingwood S. Russell, 1 vote. Sydney A. Dunkley, 2 votes. Sydney M. Bays, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Brisbane. Melbourne J. Hilton, 1 vote. Brisbane A. Fletcher, 2 votes. Melbourne G. Lyon, 3 votes. West Coast versus Fremantle. West Coast P. Simmons, 1 vote. West Coast C. Turley, 2 votes. West Coast B. Heady, 3 votes.
The big guns misfired in round 8, starting at the SCG where Carlton was hammered by the Swans. Lockett filled the lead role with 8 goals, Roos picking up the best supporting tag. Next day, Richmond's run ran out as well. Couch, Pickering and Hocking dominated in the middle, and anything they missed, Michael Mansfield picked up in a 72-point win. North Melbourne and Collingwood restored some sense to the weekend. Nathan Buckley and Anthony Stevens doing what they liked in easy wins over Footscray and Fremantle respectively. Then the upsets continued. Old Stages, Atkins and Hawkins instigating a 9-goal last term as Fitzroy shocked the Crows and their loyal fans. St Kilda and Essendon were also on the road. The Saints falling to the Darryl White-led Bears, while the Bombers conquered West Coast. Somerville's ruckwork and the mercurial Mercury giving the Bombers the edge.
Round 8. Sydney versus Carlton. Sydney, P. Kelly, 1 vote. Sydney, D. McRae, 2 votes. Sydney, T. Lockett, 3 votes. Richmond versus Geelong. Geelong, B. Scholl, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Hocking, 2 votes. Geelong, T. McGrath, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Melbourne. Melbourne, D. Neitz, 1 vote. Melbourne, J. Hilton, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. Steins, 3 votes. Footscray versus North Melbourne. Footscray, S. Wallace, 1 vote. North Melbourne, R. Smith, 2 votes. North Melbourne, W. Carey, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Fremantle. Collingwood, A. James, 1 vote. Collingwood, N. Buckley, 2 votes. Collingwood, P. Williams, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Fitzroy. Fitzroy, B. Boyd, 1 vote. Fitzroy, D. Hawkins, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. Jarman, 3 votes. Brisbane versus St Kilda. Brisbane, D. White, 1 vote. St Kilda, S. Lowe, 2 votes. Brisbane, M. Clark, 3 votes. West Coast versus Essendon. West Coast, P. Matera, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Kelthorpe, 2 votes. Essendon, P. Somerville, 3 votes.
Well, this telecast is not only being shown in Melbourne tonight, but going right around Australia, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, Hobart, and also to Sydney. Now, in Sydney tonight, the Sydney Football Club has a big function at the Randwick Racecourse. Almost 1,000 people are there. It's the biggest AFL function ever. And one of the draw cards, as usual, is Tony Lockett, who won the Brownlow Medal in 1987. Plugger joins us right now. Tony, how's the telecast going up in Sydney?
Yeah, pretty vocal here, Bruce, as I suppose you can hear. There's nearly 1,000 people here, so they're all getting their support behind the Sydney Football Club, which is terrific.
What about your own chances, Tony? You have received 3 votes so far, but you finished the season so strongly. Do you give yourself any chance of winning a second Brownlow?
No, I don't think so, Bruce. I'm a long way down the track at the moment, but fellas like Glenn Jakovich and Wayne Carey and Wayne Campbell, they're all going to have, it'll be really come down to the wire. I think it should be a great count.
And what about a couple of your Sydney mates who are here tonight? Mark Bay's going well, and so's Paul Kelly, your captain.
Yeah, Paul Kelly had a great year, so did Basie. I'd say Kel will probably end up with the most votes from this footy club.
Tony, great that you can join us tonight, and if you win, stay put. We'll be back to talk to you afterwards.
Good on you, Bruce. Thanks very much.
Tony Lockett, the Brownlow medalist from 1987, nearly 1,000 people at that function in Sydney tonight. After the break, the first look at the boards. There's one man who's not there, he's with us, Ronald Dale.
Minor 10, out of 10. Minor 10.
We've tracked down those skirtings for you.
It'll need regular deep watering.
Every time.
This will complement it perfectly.
Hi, Bill. What project are you working on?
I reckon you'd be better off with bolts than nails.
10 out of 10. Every
Thank you.
Well, that was good value.
Mitre 10 out of 10 every time.
Our soft-serve cones are still only 30 cents because old-fashioned value is nothing new at McDonald's.
Gillette introduces the next revolution in shaving closeness. Microfins. And they're only on the new Sensor XL. These microfins precede the blades. As Sensor XL's spring-mounted blades adjust to your face, these soft, flexible fins gently stretch your skin so your beard stands up for the closest, most comfortable shave you've ever had. Get the new Sensor XL.
Welcome to your first BNS ball, James.
Jesus Christ, the dead thing gets stronger.
Let's get a cold drink, Tom.
Excuse me. 2 very long glasses of ice cold milk, please, mate.
Hi, my name's Tom. What's yours?
Sarah, you really like your milk, don't you?
One big glass keeps me going all night.
Oh, really? Dane.
Tom.
Milk. Are you getting enough?
Have you seen the latest from Bendigo Bank? It's the ultimate home loan. 7.75% per annum. Yes, just 7.75% fixed for 12 months. With lots of Bendigo extras, like a 20% discount on home insurance, direct phone access. Oh, it goes on, but only for a limited time. The ultimate home loan from Bendigo Bank. No wonder they say that Bendigo are a better bank for sure.
Gillette introduces the next revolution in shaving closeness. Microfins. Only on the new Sensor XL. For the closest, most effective shave, get the new Sensor XL.
Waterworld's Dennis Hopper in the most dangerous adventure of our time.
I am the best. I'll bring you the #1 man.
We can burn some bad guys. The horrifying true story of a man who lived as a hero.
I love a dare.
But was branded a traitor.
What have you done?
Stranger than any spy story. You'll be left asking, did he betray his country? Double-crossed, a true crime story. Wednesday on Channel 7.
We're a third of the way through the 1995 season with the count. An opportunity now to have a look at the leaderboards. We start with the teams. The Adelaide Crows, Rashuto with 5 leading out there with 4 players on 3, McKinnon, McDermott, Bickley and Andrew Jarman. And then at Brisbane, Troy Clark, Richard Champion, Matthew Clark, Michael Voss, Adrian Fletcher amongst the leaders there. At Carlton, Stephen Kernahan, their captain. One of the favourites, Craig Bradley, not on the leaderboard, has 2 votes to date. At Collingwood, Nathan Buckley with 5 leading out there. At Essendon, Michael Long has polled in just 3 games, but their 3 first votes, he has 9. Peter Somerville on 6. At Fitzroy, Mark Zanotti, another consistent year. Simon Atkins coming across from Footscray, they're 5 and 4. At Fremantle, or Footscray I should say, Cameron, who was the ABC Footballer of the Year with 6, Liberatore 4, Smith 4, Lane 3. At Fremantle, one of the surprises, Scott Chisholm, with 9 from Scotty Waters on 5, Ben Allen on 4. Geelong, Paul Couch, a past winner. Peter Riccardi, who's had a splendid season. At Hawthorn, Shane Crawford, who missed a lot of the second half of the year. Darren Jarman ineligible with John Platten. At Melbourne, Hilton with 5. Gary Lyon had a great year, so did David Neitz, both in the All-Australian team. At North Melbourne, Wayne Schwass, we've already spoken to tonight. Wayne Carey starting to make a move, both on 6. At Richmond, Bond had a good year, didn't he? Poor old Richardson did his knee at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Matthew Knights, Gale and Gale. At St Kilda, Lowe, Harvey and Peckett. At Sydney, well, Bayes and Kelly, 2 of their leaders doing very well. Lockett also has 3. And at West Coast, Djakovic going great guns. He's polled in 3 matches and has 9 with ball on 5, Heady 4, Matera 4 and Turley 3. Now the ineligible players we are not showing tonight on the actual leaderboard, but on those teams lists. Djakovic, Chisholm and Long leading with 9. Then Bays and Kelly on 7, Crawford on 6. And then a number of players on 6. Kernahan, Bond, Couch, Cameron, Riccardi and Schwass. So the men from the West are doing well. Young Scotty Chisholm, he can't believe his luck. He's right up there on 9. And Glenn Djakovic, who must be in with a great chance, also on 9. Let's continue the count. Go back to rounds 9 and 10.
Friday night football returned to the G, and with Hocking and Ablett in fine form, North Melbourne was taken apart. E.J. Whittenday couldn't inspire Footscray, but 60 possessions from O'Donnell and Mercury certainly motivated Essendon, while St Kilda sunk the slipper into the Blues through the damaging play of Burke and Keogh. The Eagles did all they had to do against Fitzroy. Melbourne's 3rd in a row came through the talent of Jim Steins and at the expense of Collingwood, while Adelaide beat the Elements and the Hawks in an absolute thriller. Andrew Jarman celebrating like only he can. The round finished with Matthew Knights returning the Tigers to form and Freo slaying the Bears.
Round 9. North Melbourne versus Geelong. Geelong, G. Ablett, 1 vote. Geelong, S. Brewer, 2 votes. Geelong, A. Hickmont, 3 votes. Essendon versus Footscray. Essendon, M. Long, 1 vote. Footscray, S. West, 2 votes. Essendon, D. Fletcher, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Carlton. St Kilda, R. Keogh, 1 vote. St Kilda, R. Harvey, 2 votes. St Kilda, N. Burke, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus West Coast. Fitzroy, D. Hawkins, 1 vote. West Coast, D. Hines, 2 votes. West Coast, C. Waterman, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Hawthorn. Adelaide, M. Connell, 1 vote. Hawthorn, J. Platten, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. Jarman, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Collingwood. Melbourne, S. White, 1 vote. Melbourne, G. Lovett, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. Steins, 3 votes. Sydney versus Richmond. Sydney, P. Kelly, 1 vote. Sydney, D. Kapler, 2 votes. Richmond, S. Wigney, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Brisbane. Fremantle, D. Kickett, 1 vote. Fremantle, S. O'Reilly, 2 votes. Fremantle, S. McManus, 3 votes.
Wayne Carey had a night to remember as North Melbourne withstood a late bomber charge. 11 marks and 7 goals, evidence of his control. Peter Mann kicked 5 goals and a best on ground performance against St Kilda to move the Dockers into the 8. And Melbourne did likewise with Gary Lyon slotting through 7. The pace of Katz, Riccardi, Brown and Hocking was enough to bury Adelaide at Kardinia Park, and Richmond's polish handled Footscray. As the Pies were about to sink to the bottom, Gavin Krasiska and Paul Williams got their side over the line against Fitzroy, while the Eagles were never in any real danger. Djakovic sensational. Finally, Carlton rejoined the winning list, and how. Barry Mitchell re-emerging with 37 touches and 9 marks.
Round 10. North Melbourne versus Essendon. North Melbourne, W. Swass, 1 vote. North Melbourne, D. Laidley, 2 votes. North Melbourne, W. Carey, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Sydney. Melbourne, J. Steins, 1 vote. Melbourne, G. Lyon, 2 votes. Melbourne, S. Smith, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Fremantle. Fremantle, D. Muir, 1 vote. Fremantle, S. McManus, 2 votes. Fremantle, P. Mann, 3 votes. Geelong versus Adelaide. Geelong, P. Riccardi, 1 vote. Adelaide, D. Pittman, 2 votes. Geelong, G. Hocking, 3 votes. Footscray versus Richmond. Richmond, M. Gale, 1 vote. Richmond, D. Burke, 2 votes. Richmond, P. Broderick, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Fitzroy. Fitzroy, J. Baldwin, 1 vote. Fitzroy, S. Atkins, 2 votes. Fitzroy, B. Boyd, 3 votes. Carlton versus Hawthorn. Carlton, S. Kernahan, 1 vote. Carlton, A. Christou, 2 votes. Carlton, B. Mitchell, 3 votes. West Coast versus Brisbane. Brisbane, G. McAdam, 1 vote. West Coast, G. McKenna, 2 votes. West Coast, P. Matera, 3 votes.
And Michael Long leading with 10 votes after 10 rounds. We just saw Sean Smith given 3 votes in round number 10. Well, last year at this time, one of the feature attractions of the AFL, Sean Smith, was battling it out in the VFA playing for Werribee. This year he was a standout in a season of high flyers.
50 by Smith. Oh, what a grab.
And terrific mark taken by Fleet.
What a leap by Kelly. Something out of nothing. What a hot ticket. What a ride. Boy, way over the back and great marking. Justin Leppich used him as a ladder. Or Chalmers. Oh, good mark. Sensational mark by Alessio. From behind, yes. Oh, Hinks has taken a sensational mark.
Feels clever, he's got a good player. Butcher. Great mark, Butcher. Hang the Butcher. Wayne Schwass, what a ripper.
Kudafides. Oh, sensational jump.
Oh, Smith!
be a small businessman, but I'm not short on common sense. In fact, lately, I've got WISE. WISE is the work cover subsidy scheme that helps injured workers get back to work. They're keen to get back and ready to go. And WISE gives you almost $15,000 towards their first year's pay. It's a big offer. And let me tell you, it's a big help.
Phone 9810 63 96.
If you need some extra hands, get WISE.
I'm always traveling, I love being free, and so I keep living the sun and the sea, but my heart lies waiting there over the phone. I still call, say you're
Certina DS, Swiss action time.
There's a whole world of new flavours on the Sizzler International Salad Bar.
From China, crispy chicken salad. From Spain, succulent seafood pasta.
Sabroso.
From Japan, beef teriyaki salad. And from the USA, creamy Californian citrus cheesecake. The Sizzler International Salad Bar. Taste the world's best.
Sounds like Sizzler, and that sounds good.
The special edition Jeep Cherokee Classic features all the luxuries that you'd expect from Jeep, plus a few extra, such as a 6-stacker CD player, 30 CDs of your choice from Brashers, and more, all at no extra cost. But remember, it is a special edition, and a classic model like this is sure to be a hit.
Coaches, players, fans and viewers, get ready for 22 and a half hours of non-stop footy action starting 7:30 Friday with a special 2-hour grand final edition of 4 quarters. At 9:30, That Was a Season That Was, an in-depth and complete look back at the highlights of season 95 with Bruce McAvaney and Mike Sheehan, followed by the all-night footy marathon featuring some of the most memorable games on record. A fantastic lineup of action and excitement Friday from 7:30 on 7.
Welcome back to the Carlton Radisson. On screen at the moment, two of the former greats. On the right, John James. A little bit of grey there, the 1961 back pocket for Carlton, and with him Alastair Lord, who won the Brownlow in 1962. Look at them, a cat and a blue together tonight. Two former Brownlow medalists, 61 and 62, John James and Alastair Lord. Well, Carlton and Geelong played only once this season. It was in round 12, and that match features in the next batch of votes as we take a look at rounds 11 through to 13.
Collingwood and Graham Wright disgraced an out-of-form St Kilda to open the round. But there was little between Geelong and Essendon, the great Gary making the difference when it counted most, with a couple of breathtaking goals. Across town, Richmond surfaced as a genuine premiership hope, as Campbell and Kellaway moved up a gear in a 10-goal game. There was nothing pretty in Adelaide, as Matthew Connell collated 34 possessions, and the scene was similar at the Gabba, where Fletcher had a Bears picnic, gaining 39 touches and 11 marks. King Carey played the perfect captain's game, hauling in 14 grabs over Fremantle, and kicking 6 goals. Ably supported by Matty Armstrong. And Hawthorn and Carlton celebrated the Queen's birthday as winners. The Blues youngsters stopping Melbourne, while the Hawks lost skipper Jason Dunstall on their way to a win against Sydney.
Round 11. Collingwood versus St Kilda. Collingwood, J Hassel, 1 vote. Collingwood, G Wright, 2 votes. Collingwood, P Williams, 3 votes. Essendon versus Geelong. Essendon, R O'Connor, 1 vote. Geelong, P Couch, 2 votes. Geelong, G Ablett, 3 votes. Richmond versus West Coast. Richmond, G Deere, 1 vote. Richmond, C Bond, 2 votes. Richmond, W Campbell, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Footscray. Adelaide, D Pittman, 1 vote. Footscray, R Smith, 2 votes. Adelaide, G Anderson, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Fitzroy. Brisbane, C McRae, 1 vote. Brisbane, M Voss, 2 votes. Brisbane, M Clark, 3 votes. Fremantle versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, W Swass, 1 vote. North Melbourne, W Carey, 2 votes. North Melbourne, M Armstrong, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Carlton. Melbourne, D Neitz, 1 vote. Carlton, S Camporiali, 2 votes. Carlton, A Koutafidis, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Sydney. Sydney, D McRae, 1 vote. Hawthorn, N Holland, 2 votes. Sydney, D Kickett, 3 votes.
Essendon got away from the Hawks early as Paul Salmon came back strong, and with James Hird in command, the Bombers got home. Richmond was lucky to escape a Brett Cook-inspired Fitzroy, and Collingwood also came from behind against Footscray to eventually break even, while the match of the round at Optus Oval was another thriller. Bradley had 31 touches, took 9 marks, and saved the Blues in defence in a 3-point win. At Football Park, the Crows had a rare night out at the Dockers' expense. Then Stephen Tingay set up an easy day for the Demons. While at opposite ends of the country, North Melbourne and Matthew Capuano rose above the Bears. And Sydney fell 1 point short of the Eagles. Lockett booting 5.
Round 12. Essendon versus Hawthorn. Essendon, P Somerville, 1 vote. Hawthorn, J Taylor, 2 votes. Essendon, G Wanganeen, 3 votes. Richmond versus Fitzroy. Richmond, C Naish, 1 vote. Fitzroy, B Cook, 2 votes. Fitzroy, J Malloy, 3 votes. Footscray versus Collingwood. Footscray, L Cameron, 1 vote. Footscray, S West, 2 votes. Footscray, T Liberatore, 3 votes. Carlton versus Geelong. Carlton, P Dean, 1 vote. Geelong, P Riccardi, 2 votes. Carlton, C Bradley, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Fremantle. Adelaide, G Anderson, 1 vote. Adelaide, A Jarman, 2 votes. Adelaide, A Ingerson, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Melbourne. Melbourne, J Steins, 1 vote. Melbourne, K Dyson, 2 votes. Melbourne, S Smith, 3 votes. Brisbane versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, D Laidley, 1 vote. North Melbourne, M Capuano, 2 votes. Brisbane, G McAdam, 3 votes. West Coast versus Sydney. Sydney P. Kelly, 1 vote. Sydney P. Ruse, 2 votes. West Coast C. Waterman, 3 votes.
Sav Rocker became only the second player for the season to kick 10 goals, and the Pies celebrated with a 96-point picnic against Adelaide. A three-quarter time tie became a comfortable victory for the Roos, despite the work of Winmar. Scott Wind regained his 1992 Brownlow form as Footscray kept the Bears at arm's length. And then came the big ones. Melbourne and Richmond went goal for goal at the G, and Steve Phoebe's 22nd half possessions went a long way to swinging the game the Demons' way. And at Cardinia Park, Geelong prevented the Eagles scoring in the third term. That and Ablett's 8, burying West Coast by 52 points. Round 13 closed with Crawford and D. Jarman crushing Fitzroy. Carlton keeping the Dockers at bay, and a determined Sydney upset Essendon with Darren Creswell the driving force.
Round 13. Collingwood versus Adelaide. Collingwood, G. Krasiska, 1 vote. Collingwood, N. Buckley, 2 votes. Collingwood, S. Rocker, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Richmond. Melbourne, D. Neitz, 1 vote. Melbourne, J. Steins, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Knights, 3 votes. St Kilda versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, S. Anderson, 1 vote. St Kilda, R. Harvey, 2 votes. St Kilda, N. Burke, 3 votes. Geelong versus West Coast. Geelong, G. Hocking, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Ablett, 2 votes. Geelong, P. Couch, 3 votes. Footscray versus Brisbane. Footscray, S. Wine, 1 vote. Brisbane, G. McAdam, 2 votes. Footscray, T. Liberatore, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Fitzroy. Hawthorn, A. Collins, 1 vote. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 2 votes. Hawthorn, S. Crawford, 3 votes. Sydney versus Essendon. Sydney, G. Stafford, 1 vote. Sydney, D. Kapler, 2 votes. Sydney, P. Kelly, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Carlton. Carlton, F. Brown, 1 vote. Carlton, E. Spalding, 2 votes. Carlton, P. Dean, 3 votes.
Well, everybody's been tipping it would be wide open. Wouldn't they be rocking and rolling at the Randwick Racecourse at the moment? Paul Kelly leading by 1 vote over Paul Couch and Wayne Carey. Back with the leaders board after this break.
That house lot will be delivered tomorrow.
You put it where it'll get plenty of light. You'll need about 10 litres for a job that size.
Hello, Bill. What project do you work on? Panelling. I'd use an adhesive.
Thank you. Well, that was good value.
10 out of 10 every time.
Foster's Light Ice for extreme refreshment on tap.
Although the Ford Fairlane Ghia has the impeccable finish of Japanese luxury cars, some people just won't see it. Although it has safety features even the Swedish would applaud, some people won't appreciate it. Although the Germans would admire its world-class engineering, some people won't ever experience it. And although its interior is a reminder of English luxury cars, some people won't even consider it, because for them, sadly, it just doesn't cost enough. The Fairlane Ghia, at around $47,000, it's world class in every area, except price.
Australians have always known it. There's nothing tougher than hard yakka.
See you later.
I'll see you. Brad, you've had a few, man, so maybe I should drive, huh? What do you reckon?
I'm all right.
Want a bit? No. Look, man, I'll drive. Here. Get in the car. You shouldn't be driving. No, it's okay. Hey, Joey. What? What's this?
Hey, cut it out.
Pull over now.
Please. Joey, I killed my brother.
9:30 Thursday on 7, tying the knot for fun. Those happy couples in the right place at the wrong time.
Dear God, we are one before you.
The worst moments from the happiest days of their lives. A premiere special with everything a wedding day could do without.
One of the most amazing things I've ever lived through.
Full Frontal's Julia Morris hosts an outrageous night of laughs. For better or for worse, the world's funniest wedding disasters. 9:30 Thursday on 7.
And welcome back to the Brownlow Medal for 1995 as we welcome viewers in Sydney and Brisbane to the telecast. We can see Barry Round and Kelvin Templeton at the Randwick Racecourse tonight, two former Brownlow Medal winners, and we'll be shortly going to Perth as well. This telecast going right around Australia. Well, we promised an open Brownlow Medal. We have got one as we check the leaderboards. Firstly with the teams, the Crows, Andrew Jarman 8, Rasciuto 5, Anderson 4. We go to Brisbane, McAdam 7, Matthew Clark could be an outsider, had a terrific finish to the season on 6. At Carlton, Kernahan 7, Christou 5. Bradley, one of the favourites on 5. At Collingwood, Buckley leading Paul Williams 7 and 6. At Essendon, Michael Long has been a front runner from early on. He has 10. Peter Somerville on 7. At Fitzroy, Simon Atkins and Mark Zanotti leading out there from Dougie Hawkins 6-5-4. At Footscray, Libba, could he do it for the second time? He's on 10. Leon Cameron on 7. At Fremantle, Scotty Chisholm on 9. Scott Waters, young McManus, and Ben Allen still only on 4 there. At Geelong, Paul Couch currently in second place with 11. Peter Riccardi on 9. Gary Ablett 7. At Hawthorn, Shane Crawford on 9. Darren Jarman and Platts on 7 and 5 respectively. At Melbourne, Jimmy Stein's a pass winner, going great gun. So's the high flyer Sean Smith. Gary Lyon on 5. Wayne Carey on 11. And Wayne Schwass looking in from the Fairfield Hospital tonight on 8. At Richmond, Chris Bond, Matthew Knights, Wayne Campbell now on that board with Broderick. At St Kilda, Harvey, Burke, Lowe. They're great names, aren't they? At Sydney, Paul Kelly on 12. Mark Bays, Darren Kapler on 7 each. And at West Coast, Glenn Jakovic, who's been stuck for a while on 9. 3 best on grounds. Peter Matera, the runner-up last year on 7. Chris Waterman on 6. The leaderboard. Paul Kelly of Sydney leads by 1 from Wayne Carey and Paul Couch, and then Longsteins and Liberatore, just 2 between the top 6, and then 4 on 9, Jakovic, Chisholm, Riccardi, Crawford, and on 8, Bond and Schwass. It's very tight at the top. Paul Kelly currently leading by 1 vote over Paul Couch and Wayne Carey. They're both on 11 as we continue the count and we go to round 14.
Dermy started round 14 with a bang. And Longmire ended it with 7 goals and the 4 points. Adelaide's season went from bad to worse at the hands of the Bombers, with Wanganeen and Salmon superb. And Geelong did what it had to do against Brisbane, Barnes controlling the air. At Waverley, the Eagles hit back hard, and Hawthorn buckled. The man who did most of the damage was Chris Lewis. The big one came from the MCG, and there was nothing between Carlton and Richmond until Anthony Koutafidis lifted the Blues to a 5-0 last term. Chris Grant's 7 won the battle of the Western Oval co-tenants. Melbourne handled a visit to the Dockers with Glenn Lovett fit and firing, while in Sydney, Plugger's old mates found something extra. Peter Everett, best for the Saints.
Round 14. North Melbourne versus Collingwood. North Melbourne, G. Archer, 1 vote. North Melbourne, A. Stevens, 2 votes. North Melbourne, M. Armstrong, 3 votes. Essendon versus Adelaide. Essendon, P. Salmon, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Morgan, 2 votes. Essendon, S. Denham, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus West Coast. West Coast, C. Waterman, 1 vote. West Coast, C. Lewis, 2 votes. West Coast, J. Ball, 3 votes. Carlton versus Richmond. Carlton, S. Kernahan, 1 vote. Carlton, A. Koutafidis, 2 votes. Carlton, B. Pearce, 3 votes. Geelong versus Brisbane. Brisbane, M. McLean, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Hocking, 2 votes. Geelong, J. Barnes, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Footscray. Footscray, B. Stansfield, 1 vote. Footscray, C. Grant, 2 votes. Footscray, S. Wind, 3 votes. Sydney versus St Kilda. St Kilda, N. Burke, 1 vote. St Kilda, P. Everett, 2 votes. St Kilda, R. Harvey, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Melbourne. Melbourne, A. Lovell, 1 vote. Melbourne, J. Steins, 2 votes. Melbourne, T. Viney, 3 votes.
So after 14 rounds, Jim Steins now joins Paul Kelly as a joint leader in the 1995 Brownlow Medal. An opportunity to go to Perth, where some of the Docker players and Eagle players have gathered tonight. We do have many of them in the room here as well, but at the Barry Cable Room in Perth, a great friend of ours, Chris Mainwaring. Welcome to the telecast. Chris, how's it going over there? It's pretty exciting in this room.
Yeah, very good, thanks, Bruce. And, the players here are pretty excited. Of course, Scotty Chisholm and Glenn Jakovich going well for the respective sides over here in the West, and let's hope they can pick up a few more votes.
Well, Peter Matera nearly pulled off a big shock last year. He's been tipped as a chance. Do you give him a chance of making a late dash, Chris?
I'm certainly sure, Peter and a few of the other players from both our sides have got a chance. He normally picks up, votes of 3, so he might pick up a few more towards the end of the year. And of course, Ben Allen's also big talk about hopefully getting up and bringing the medal home too.
So Chris, who's your tip from Perth at the moment? Who do you think will win the Brownlow?
Well, I'd like to think that Glenn Jakovich is probably get over the line over here from the West.
Good on you. Enjoy the telecast, Chris. Thanks for joining us tonight. Chris Mainwaring from the Barry Cable Room in Perth. As we continue the count, let's go to round 15.
Essendon and Richmond provided the game of the year on the Friday night. James Hird and Michael Gale superb, but both disappointed after a thrilling draw. Melbourne dealt with Fitzroy and the Swans bounced back brilliantly. Defender Andrew Dunkley hailed for holding Carey. The Crows showed plenty of spirit, but didn't have the skill to match Carlton when it mattered. While John Platten and Darren Jarman disposed of the ball 76 times against Fremantle. On Sunday, the Saints surprised Geelong, due largely to Robert Harvey's brilliance. Nathan Buckley made a happy return to the Bears' cave, And the Eagles had no answer to the desperate doggies. Liver and Danny Southern at the head of the pack.
Round 15. Richmond versus Essendon. Essendon, N. Simmons, 1 vote. Richmond, B. Gale, 2 votes. Essendon, J. Hurd, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Sydney. North Melbourne, A. Stevens, 1 vote. Sydney, D. Creswell, 2 votes. Sydney, D. Lewis, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Fremantle. Hawthorn, T. Hargraves, 1 vote. Hawthorn, C. Langford, 2 votes. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 3 votes. Carlton versus Adelaide. Carlton, J. Madden, 1 vote. Carlton, M. Clappe, 2 votes. Carlton, A. Koutafidis, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Melbourne. Melbourne, A. Lovell, 1 vote. Melbourne, G. Lyon, 2 votes. Melbourne, D. Neitz, 3 votes. Geelong versus St Kilda. Geelong, G. Ablett, 1 vote. St Kilda, R. Harvey, 2 votes. St Kilda, N. Winmar, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Collingwood. Collingwood, D. Monkhurst, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Russell, 2 votes. Collingwood, G. Krasiska, 3 votes. West Coast versus Footscray. Footscray, D. Southern, 1 vote. Footscray, T. Liberatore, 2 votes. Footscray, S. Wind, 3 votes.
Well, we have 7 rounds to go and 4 equal leaders and 7 players within 2 votes of one another in the 1995 Brownlow Medal. It's hotting up here at the Carlton Radisson. Back with more after this.
Someday we'll all be together once more. When all of the ships come back to the shore, then I realize something that I've always known. Still goes
Give yourself a break and get breakfast in a flash at McDonald's.
Welcome to your first BNS ball, James.
Try as the dead thing gets stronger. Let's get a cold drink, Tom. Excuse me. 2 very long glasses of ice cold milk, please, mate.
Hi, my name's Tom. What's yours?
Sarah, you really like your milk, don't you?
1 big glass keeps me going all night.
Oh, really? Jane.
Tom.
Milk. Are you getting enough?
Introducing the brilliant Victor Super Series mowers.
Cut. 3-year warranty. Action.
Now with a full 3-year warranty.
Cut.
These powerful Victor Super Series mowers cut grass into lawn superbly. So if you'd like to cut your lawn beautifully like these Victors can, see the Victor Super Series with 3-year warranty at your Victor stockist now. Victor turns grass into
cut
lawn.
Is it expensive to send a letter or document from Melbourne to Sydney with Express Post? No. Prepaid envelopes are available at your post office from just $3, which is next to nix, really. Express Post, the cheapest next-day delivery.
It's something many women fear.
A breakdown, a puncher.
I was really scared, actually.
Our tips on how to survive.
It's every woman's nightmare.
And how to get yourself and your car to safety. Today, tonight, 6:30 tomorrow on 7. In the lead-up to the 95 Grand Final, there's one sports team with all the inside information on and off the field, with all the pre-match hype and unlimited access to all the football footage. Catch the action.
Only on 7 Nightly News.
Brilliant drama in a movie-length premiere. The Governor, soon.
"15 rounds down, 7 to go in the 1995 Brownlow Medal. 4 equal leaders, Harvey, Liberatore, Kelly and Steins. Round 16, highlighted by one of the matches of the year, the draw between Essendon and Richmond.
North Melbourne went to Adelaide expecting to win, but found the pace of Tregenza too much to cope with. Ablett's 6 goals and 10 Brownless marks were enough to bring Melbourne down in the match of the round. The freakish Michael Long beat Fitzroy, while Matera and Winmar were magnificent at Waverley as the Eagles soared. Saturday night in Sydney, Footscray's resurgence continued thanks largely to Smith and Wine, while another big crowd watched the legs of Clappe and Christou run the Pies ragged. The Bears came back from the dead up in Brisbane, and finally Richmond did it hard against the Dockers. Wayne Campbell leading the Tiger charge.
Round 16. Adelaide versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, M. Armstrong, 1 vote. Adelaide, R. Jamieson, 2 votes. Adelaide, S. Tregenza, 3 votes. Essendon versus Fitzroy. Essendon, J. Hurd, 1 vote. Essendon, P. Somerville, 2 votes. Essendon, M. Long, 3 votes. St Kilda versus West Coast. West Coast, B. Lyle, 1 vote. St Kilda, N. Burke, 2 votes. West Coast, D. Hart, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Geelong. Geelong, G. Ablett, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Hocking, 2 votes. Geelong, S. Brewer, 3 votes. Sydney versus Footscray. Footscray, R. Osborne, 1 vote. Footscray, S. Wind, 2 votes. Footscray, R. Smith, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Carlton. Carlton, J. Madden, 1 vote. Carlton, G. Williams, 2 votes. Carlton, M. Clappe, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn, S. Crawford, 1 vote. Brisbane, M. Voss, 2 votes. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Richmond. Richmond, C. Bond, 1 vote. Fremantle, B. Allen, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Knights, 3 votes.
Lions 7 sent the Roos to the bottom of their roller coaster ride again. Sean Denham personally kept the Dockers out of the game against the Bombers, and Footscray took the 4 points by 5 points in a hard slog. Winmar and Lowe led the Saints to a surprise raid on Richmond, while down at Geelong, Ablett's 100th for the season was the highlight of a comprehensive victory against the Swans. Pickering also prominent with 35 possessions. On Sunday, it was Carlton in a canter against Fitzroy, Brett Ratton amassing a lazy 44 statistics. Chris Lewis cut Collingwood to pieces with a best-on-ground performance, and the round closed after Brisbane upset the Crows. Adrian Fletcher gaining his regular tally of 28 touches.
Round 17. North Melbourne versus Melbourne. North Melbourne, A. Stevens, 1 vote. Melbourne, G. Lyon, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. Steins, 3 votes. Essendon versus Fremantle. Essendon, M. McCurry, 1 vote. Essendon, C. Cockatoo Collins, 2 votes. Essendon, S. Denham, 3 votes. Richmond versus St Kilda. St Kilda, N. Burke, 1 vote. St Kilda, N. Winmar, 2 votes. St Kilda, S. Lowe, 3 votes. Geelong versus Sydney. Sydney, P. Kelly, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Couch, 2 votes. Geelong, G. Hocking, 3 votes. Footscray versus Hawthorn. Footscray, I. Grigich, 1 vote. Footscray, B. Stanfield, 2 votes. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Carlton. Carlton, E. Spalding, 1 vote. Carlton, C. Bradley, 2 votes. Carlton, A. Koutafidis, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Brisbane. Brisbane, S. Hart, 1 vote. Adelaide, S. Tregenza, 2 votes. Brisbane, G. McAdam, 3 votes. West Coast versus Collingwood. West Coast, P. Simmons, 1 vote. West Coast, C. Lewis, 2 votes. West Coast, B. Lyle, 3 votes.
So with 5 rounds to go, Darren Jarman has the most votes at this stage in the Brownlow Medal. He is ineligible, he was suspended, and Jimmy Steins is leading. Steins, who was a favourite when he won in 1991, but an outsider tonight. Well, the wacky and madcap side of football has always been a feature of our Brownlow Medal coverages, and we won't let you down tonight. Sandy Roberts and editor Warren Smith look at the cockeyed side of football in the plays of the year. What's he done, the kid?
The umpire's blind.
Gary, no, he's going to come back.
Gary,
that says it all.
Look at Barbie.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, I reckon.
The Di Piero Domenico Pocket English Dictionary describes funniest as amusing, comical, odd, difficult to explain, and the plays of the year.
Thank you, Dipper, and I hope you catch the pig. Good luck with the fish, and enjoy all the fringe benefits of being a boundary rider.
During half-time, a couple of horses go around now and then, and they've left some of their things they've eaten on the ground. And we'll just see what happens if players get involved with it.
Well, I can tell you the rule, Dipper, and you obviously don't know it. The rule is that the boundary rider cleans it up.
Oh, is that true?
That's right.
So it's now Dipper the stable hand. We're also having a good old chortle with Justin Madden and Gary Lyon. Watch it, boys, you don't want to start a melee. But even Harry was upstaged by this goalie who surprised everyone by not awarding a certain goal to Trent Nichols. Now come on, Trent, isn't the man in white always right? Well, apparently not. While this was definitely the strangest shot for goal. From 70 metres, up, that is. Yes, as we know in plays, happiness is eating the pies. But judging by the youngster in the background, he may have had just one too many at the main break. While in May, the possible stars of the future weren't too interested in gathering possessions. More like who could make the strangest hand gestures. Good one, guys. And as for this little leaguer, well, try as he might, he just couldn't quite get them where he wanted them. At least he didn't have the embarrassment of being dacked in front of a full house at Footy Park. While at the other end of the scale, old Colonel Kangaroo was quite happy in not keeping his own. And as for Ted, the cat mascot, no guessing for what he was doing with his Hawk scarf. The Hawks had a pretty tough old time in '95, and for Jason Taylor, well, this just topped off a year he'd like to forget. While Sydney coach Ron Barassi won't forget his victorious embrace with Mike Willesee. The result? One pair of smashed specs. Thanks, Mike. And perhaps Sean Hart needs specs after running full tilt into teammate Gilbert McAdam. Thanks, Sean. No, we're not seeing things, but somehow, sir, I think we'll pass on that offer. And what would plays be without featuring this ardent North Melbourne fan? No, wait a minute. Has anyone seen my flag? Now let's maintain the intensity. Yes, well, the Bears certainly did that, and full marks to their cheer squad for capturing their errant banner. Also pretty intense was David Parkin, and in this case, David, action do speak louder than words. A nice one, Diesel too, for revving up an already hostile Magpie army. Now, Corey McKernan is one tough roo. After slipping over and dislocating a finger, he calls out the medico, who promptly pops it back into place. Lo and behold, Corey gets back on with the game. Ah, the things we do for plays. But it's all good fun, isn't it, Swooper? And as we sign off for another year, we say farewell to a super coach in Ronald Dale Barassi.
Mobile have asked me to demonstrate exactly how many cards their card option network accepts. Fair enough. In all, it's over 300 credit NetPOS cards, including all the biggies and their reward programs, like Telstra Visa. Paying by card, sir. They take mine, they'll take yours, wherever you see card option at Mobile and Quicks.
Yodeling! Yodeling! Yodeling, 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 yodeling.
You better make that two.
Foster's Light Ice for extreme refreshment.
But the ground's a bit muddy.
We recently sent an RACV insurance assessor to an address in Bayswater. Apparently, a car had been rolled. Now, this isn't all that unusual, although the assessor in question can't recall anyone else ever doing it in their backyard. Sometimes it's not easy to explain things on paper. That's why at RACV Insurance, we're all ears, not all paperwork. In fact, because we now handle claims over the phone, you won't need to fill out a claim form at all. It's just one more way RACV Insurance treat you as a member, not a number.
Gillette introduces the next revolution in shaving closeness. Microfins. Only on the new Sensor XL. For the closest, most effective shave, get the new Sensor XL.
What's it feel like to play in the finals?
It's like getting a Nissan Pulsar Q and saving a massive $2,671.
What's it feel like taking a big grab?
It's like getting a mighty Nissan Patrol RX Turbo for under 40 grand.
What's it feel like winning the big one in September?
It's like getting a magnificent Nissan Micra for under $15,000.
But after September 30, yibbity yibbida, these great Nissan deals will be history.
Is it true you're the youngest governor in England?
Yes, I am.
Behind the walls of Barfield Prison,
All I want is justice.
lies a secret so evil,
I shall see that you get it.
a crime so barbaric.
You better tell her before she faints out.
Only Linda LaPlante could have written it.
Let them try and shift me.
Soon, her fiery new drama,
Lost my confidence.
rated through the roof in the UK.
He was murdered.
LaPlante at her sensational best.
I am the governor of this prison.
The movie-length premiere, The Governor, soon on 7.
Welcome back to the Carlton Radisson, the 1995 Brownlow Medal. Let's continue with the counting rounds 18 and 19.
Hawthorn's life was on the line, but with Scott Turner keeping Dunstall goalless and Matty Knight burying the on-ballers, the Hawks didn't stand a chance. Back at the G on Saturday, Essendon's tall timber told the story. Somerville, Alessio and Salmon grabbing 26 marks. Unfortunately, Salmon also grabbed his ankle. The Crows fought back to score. North Melbourne got one back on the Eagles as Wayne Schwass sent his side forward at will, and the Dockers cruised in at Subiaco. Carey proved he's not dead yet, helping Brett Ratton to 30 touches. And 6 Lockett goals weren't enough against the likes of Voss and Hart. Finally, back at headquarters again, Dermy turned the clock back a few years and kept the Pies in the race for the 8.
Round 18. Richmond versus Hawthorn. Richmond, M. Knights, 1 vote. Richmond, S. Turner, 2 votes. Richmond, N. Bauer, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Essendon. Essendon, S. Alessio, 1 vote. Essendon, S. Denham, 2 votes. Essendon, P. Somerville, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Adelaide. Adelaide, N. Smart, 1 vote. Adelaide, A. Jarman, 2 votes. Adelaide, D. Pittman, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus West Coast. North Melbourne, J. Blakey, 1 vote. North Melbourne, A. Stevens, 2 votes. North Melbourne, W. Swass, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Geelong. Geelong, G. Hocking, 1 vote. Collingwood, D. Brereton, 2 votes. Collingwood, S. Russell, 3 votes. Carlton versus Footscray. Carlton, A. Koutafidis, 1 vote. Footscray, B. Stanfield, 2 votes. Carlton, E. Spalding, 3 votes. Sydney versus Brisbane. Brisbane, M. Clark, 1 vote. Sydney, D. McRae, 2 votes. Brisbane, M. Voss, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Fitzroy. Fremantle, G. Durkay, 1 vote. Fremantle, M. Burton, 2 votes. Fremantle, S. Chisholm, 3 votes.
King Carey ruled the night skies against a gallant Richmond. 14 marks, all first class. Essendon and Collingwood couldn't repeat their early season draw, but if Wanganeen hadn't been around, the Pies would have easily been 8 points closer. The Hawks handled the Saints, Geelong the same against Fremantle, while Melbourne questioned the umpires after its loss to the Dogs, even though Scott West had all the answers. On Sunday, the Bears tried but failed against the Blues, and Matera crushed the Crows. But the round really belonged to Plugger. 16 goals straight was Lockett at his incredible best. A command performance, one the Swans will always savour.
Round 19. North Melbourne versus Richmond. North Melbourne, J. Blakey, 1 vote. Richmond, P. Broderick, 2 votes. North Melbourne, W. Carey, 3 votes. Essendon versus Collingwood. Collingwood, G. Brown, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Rocker, 2 votes. Essendon, M. Long, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus St Kilda. St Kilda, S. Lowe, 1 vote. Hawthorn, D. Jarman, 2 votes. St Kilda, N. Winmar, 3 votes. Geelong versus Fremantle. Geelong, G. Hocking, 1 vote. Fremantle, B. Allen, 2 votes. Geelong, P. Couch, 3 votes. Footscray versus Melbourne. Melbourne, G. Lovett, 1 vote. Footscray, S. West, 2 votes. Footscray, R. Smith, 3 votes. Carlton versus Brisbane. Brisbane, M. Voss, 1 vote. Carlton, D. Rice, 2 votes. Carlton, F. Brown, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Sydney. Sydney, D. Creswell, 1 vote. Sydney, P. Kelly, 2 votes. Sydney, T. Lockett, 3 votes. West Coast versus Adelaide. West Coast, M. White, 1 vote. West Coast, C. Turley, 2 votes. West Coast, P. Matera, 3 votes.
Well, have we had a more exciting count? Long, Couch, Steins, Kelly, Carey, all amongst the leaders. We're going to take a break, check the boards after the break, and then the all-important last 3 rounds of the 1995 Brownlow Medal.
Mobile have asked me to demonstrate exactly how many cards their card option network accepts. Fair enough. In all, it's over 300 credit NEFPOS cards, including all the biggies and their reward programs, like Telstra Visa.
Paying by card, sir.
They take mine, they'll take yours, wherever you see card option at Mobile and Quicks.
Connect or switch to Telstra MobileNet before October 31st for a great deal on a mobile phone and a chance to win one of 100 holidays for 2 to either Cradle Mountain, Hayman Island, the Daintree Rainforest, Kakadu, New Zealand, or Cable Beach, Flying Ansett. For great deals and great escapes, there's never been a better time to connect.
Guess where we're going?
So, see your approved Telstra MobileNet dealer today.
Holden makes the only Australian car to provide the protection of an airbag for both the driver and front seat passenger. That's why there's nothing quite like a Holden.
I'm pregnant. Beautiful movie.
That was great, yeah, I loved it.
And really hilarious.
Fantastic movie.
Best laugh I've ever long time.
Hey, he's the bloody doctor!
Here I am.
Robin Williams is fabulous.
Just brilliant. 9 months.
You just don't know what you do to me. I wouldn't know another way. I have to say that it's not always easy. It's part of the game that we play. After all we shared together, power, the pleasure, the pain, just to be there in your of glory, I'd go through it all again. That's what you do in your moment of madness. That's what you do, it's what I wanna see. That's what you do in your moment of sorrow. That's what you do to me. That's what you do when you turn on the action. That's what you do, that's what I came to see. That's what you do, give me double the action. That's what you do to me. That's what you do to me.
I guess we better do something about that aerial ping pong thing. Locker got 100 tries the other day. Don't they call them points?
Hey, even I know they call them goals.
Oh, is it really a big deal to get 100 in a match?
No, the big scores they get.
If you know the difference between a try and a goal, you'll want your current affairs produced in Melbourne, not Sydney. For the stories that matter to you.
Let's face it, Bill, it's not as big as a Super League story. Ah, stuff, Melbourne. Let's go with the league. It's easier to cover anyway.
Only Today Tonight sees the world from a Melbourne perspective.
Brilliant drama in a movie-length premiere. The Governor, soon.
Just 3 rounds remaining in the 1995 Brownlow Medal. Excitement very high in this room as we check now There's Paul Couch, who plays in the grand final. He won the 1989 Brownlow Medal, and he's amongst the leaders tonight. Talking with Sean Denham. Let's check the leaderboards. Club by club, Adelaide, Andrew Jarman with 10. Reminding you that the ineligible players we show club by club, but not on the leaderboard as such. Brisbane, McAdam and Voss both on 10. Carlton, Koutafidis, what a year he's had. All-Australian player on 12, and Clappe on 9 and Kernahan on 8. Bradley 7. Buckley, Rocker lead, Collingwood on 7. At Essendon, Michael Long has been right up there all the way. Peter Somerville on 12, Long on 16. At Fitzroy, Atkins 6, Zanotti 5. At Footscray, Libba and Rowan Smith, who had a great year. Libba on 12, a pass winner. Fremantle, Scott Chisholm, what a debut season for him on 12. From Ben Allen, he's captain on 8. Geelong, well, can Couchy do it again? On 16, he won it in Malcolm Blight's first year there. Can he win it in Gary Ayres' first year as coach? At Hawthorn, Darren Jarman was suspended for one match in the opening round of the season. Therefore, he's ineligible. He's on 18. He has the most votes so far. Shane Crawford behind him. Jimmy Stein's giving a great start. The 91 winner on 15, Gary Lyon on 9. At North, Wayne Carey there with a chance on 14. Wayne Schwass on 11. Richmond, Matty Knights, 12. One of the favourites, Wayne Campbell on 6. St Kilda, Robert Harvey on 12. Sydney, Paul Kelly, their captain. Plugger Lockett said he'd get the most votes from the Swans. He's twice been a best and fairest at that club. And at West Coast, Peter Matera, who always polls well on 10, and then Glenn Jakovich 9. Let's look at the leaderboard. 2 pages we're going to look at. Long and Couch are the joint leaders with 3 to go. Steins, Kelly, 1 behind. Carey, 2 adrift. And then Harvey, who's 4 behind. And then a whole group of players who are 4 behind the leaders. Liberatore, Knights, Somerville, Koutafidis, Chisholm, Smith. So that's the scene. Paul Couch, what a big week for him. Jimmy Steins, he's been here once before. Paul Kelly, can you believe his luck? He's right there at the business end. Let's start with the last 3 rounds, the voting.
A fast-finishing Hawthorn were held off by Collingwood on Friday night. Darren Jarman was brilliant for the Hawks. The West Coast jumped Melbourne in the first quarter, and with 5 goals from Fraser Gehrig, continued their return to top form. A similar start at Optus Oval saw Carlton's established stars take top billing over North. Williams kicked 5, Hannah dominated the wings, and Bradley was unstoppable. Stewie Lowe kicked 6 for the Saints, but there was no stopping Essendon. Wanganeen outstanding for the Bombers. Under new coach Alan McConnell, Fitzroy threatened Geelong early, but the Ablettless Cats, with Brewer firing up forward, accelerated in the second half to win by 41 points. Dale Lewis provided the drive for Sydney in its 46-point winner to Adelaide, while on Sunday, McAdam starred for Brisbane in a big win over Richmond. And the biggest man in league footy, Spider Burton, helped the Dockers to an impressive win over the Dogs in Perth.
Round 20, Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Collingwood, G. Krasiska, 1 vote. Collingwood, D. Monkhurst, 2 votes. Collingwood, G. Wright, 3 votes. Melbourne versus West Coast. Melbourne, S. Smith, 1 vote. West Coast, D. Hart, 2 votes. West Coast, C. Waterman, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Essendon. Essendon, D. Kelthorpe, 1 vote. St Kilda, S. Lowe, 2 votes. Essendon, G. Wanganeen, 3 votes. Carlton versus North Melbourne. Carlton, S. Silvani, 1 vote. Carlton, M. Hanna, 2 votes. Carlton, G. Williams, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus Geelong. Geelong, A. Lord, 1 vote. Fitzroy, D. Hawkins, 2 votes. Geelong, L. Tudor, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Sydney. Sydney, D. McRae, 1 vote. Sydney P. Kelly, 2 votes. Sydney D. Lewis, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Richmond. Brisbane D. White, 1 vote. Brisbane G. McAdam, 2 votes. Brisbane A. Fletcher, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Footscray. Fremantle S. Chisholm, 1 vote. Fremantle M. Burton, 2 votes. And Fremantle S. McManus, 3 votes.
With its season on the line, Melbourne faltered at the hands of the Crows. Simon Tregenza inspiring one of the upsets of the season. Wayne Campbell helped the Tigers back onto the winners list, moving to outright Brownlow favourite in the process. While another big name blew his medal chances as the Cats fell foul of Footscray. Anthony Stevens saw plenty of the leather as the Roos led Hawthorn from start to finish. Winmar's explosive form continued with another best-on-ground performance, while the Bears belted the Bombers, Lambert and Lappin leading the charge. The match of the round came on Sunday. It wasn't at the SCG, where Fremantle upstaged Lockett's 7-goal haul, which brought up 3 figures for the season. It happened at Subiaco. The pure speed of Peter Matera did much to propel the Eagles, but in a 1-point game, it was Greg Williams who drove the Blues over the line.
Round 21, Melbourne versus Adelaide. Adelaide M. Liptak, 1 vote. Adelaide S. Tregenza, 2 votes. Adelaide A. Jarman, 3 votes. Richmond versus Collingwood. Richmond M. Knights, 1 vote. Richmond P. Broderick, 2 votes. Richmond W. Campbell, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne J. Blakey, 1 vote. North Melbourne R. Smith, 2 votes. Hawthorn N. Holland, 3 votes. Geelong versus Footscray. Footscray S. West, 1 vote. Footscray T. Liberatore, 2 votes. Footscray K. Costa, 3 votes. Fitzroy versus St Kilda. St Kilda R. Harvey, 1 vote. Fitzroy W. Lamb, 2 votes. St Kilda S. Lowe, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Essendon. Essendon G. O'Donnell, 1 vote. Brisbane M. Clark, 2 votes. Brisbane N. Lappin, 3 votes. Sydney versus Fremantle. Sydney T. Lockett, 1 vote. Sydney P. Kelly, 2 votes. Fremantle T. Ridley, 3 votes. West Coast versus Carlton. West Coast D. Pike, 1 vote. Carlton M. Hanna, 2 votes. West Coast P. Matera, 3 votes.
In case they didn't realise, Michael Voss alerted the Demons to the fact that he's a quality performer as the Bears marched into the finals. Bradley too put his hand up as one to watch in Carlton's 20th victory of the year, while Hawthorn stars were burnt out, leaving Colbert and Barnes to centre stage at Waverley. The Roos had plenty in the best in booting 30 goals against the Roys. On sheer weight of numbers, Nicky Winmar led the Saints with 42 touches, although Harvey wasn't far behind. And on Saturday night, Rogers and Knights took turns of drilling the Crows. The season ended in Sydney with Pluggers 7, Barassi Smile and the Pies Sorrow, and a routine victory from the Eagles. Docker Dale keeping the stats man occupied.
Round 22. North Melbourne versus Fitzroy. North Melbourne M. Armstrong, 1 vote. North Melbourne W. Swass, 2 votes. North Melbourne C. McKernan, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Melbourne. Brisbane, M. Ashcroft, 1 vote. Brisbane, A. Fletcher, 2 votes. Brisbane, M. Voss, 3 votes. Fremantle versus West Coast. Fremantle, B. Allen, 1 vote. West Coast, G. McKenna, 2 votes. West Coast, D. Kemp, 3 votes. Footscray versus St Kilda. St Kilda, J. Smith, 1 vote. St Kilda, N. Winmar, 2 votes. St Kilda, R. Harvey, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Richmond. Richmond, W. Campbell, 1 vote. Adelaide, T. Modra, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Knights, 3 votes. Hawthorn versus Geelong. Geelong, P. Riccardi, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Hocking, 2 votes. Geelong, J. Barnes, 3 votes. Essendon versus Carlton. Carlton, E. Spalding, 1 vote. Carlton, A. Christou, 2 votes. Carlton, C. Bradley, 3 votes. Sydney versus Collingwood. Sydney, T. Gray, 1 vote. Sydney, P. Kelly, 2 votes. Sydney, A. Dunkley, 3 votes. I declare Paul Kelly the 1995 Brownlow Medal winner. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for the 1995 Brownlow medalist, Paul Kelly. Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! To Paul Kelly.
Paul, congratulations. What a wonderful reception in this room, and also we had shots from the Sydney function. A moment ago we saw Tony Lockett and the other Sydney players there. They're absolutely thrilled to bits for you. Was it a long night for you?
Very long, mate. The biggest disappointment is I left my wife in Sydney. I don't know how she's going up there.
Well, you better send her a big cheerio right now, Paul.
Hey, Lou, how are you?
Did you fancy your chances? Tony said earlier in the telecast he felt you had a real chance. You'd had a terrific year.
Oh, you know, mate, you know, it's a pretty open, you know, market. Anyone can win it, and you know, I thought, you know, I had not a bad year, but this is unbelievable. This is the highlight of my football career, mate. Unbelievable.
What's it about Wagga, Paul? I mean, you're from Wagga. Wayne Carey's from Wagga. The opening batsmen for Australia are from Wagga at the moment. Taylor and Slater. Scobie Breesley is from Wagga as well. There must be something in that country town.
I'm not sure, mate. There may be something in the Murrumbidgee River. I'm not sure, but I don't know.
It's a difficult question, I know, on a night like today. Paul, Tony Lockett's with us in Sydney. Plugger, who won in 1987. Plugger, would you like to say something to your captain?
Hey, Plug.
How you going, Phil?
All right, mate.
You little bloody ripper, mate. You little ripper. Well done, mate. Great stuff.
How you going up there?
Yeah, we're going all right. We'll have a drink for you.
Get down here.
Well done, mate. Well done, yeah!
Good on you, Tony. Thank you very much. It's been just terrific. Well, Paul, you must have a few people you want to thank that have made a contribution to your football career over the years.
Yeah, so firstly, the Sydney Football Club who got me out of Wagga.
It doesn't sound like such a good place after all, does it?
I didn't want to leave. I was quite happy down there, and they persuaded me, along with my father John, who's probably over the moon at the moment.
Was he a footballer?
He was. We come from Ardlethan, a small place out of Wagga, but he was just a country footballer, and my wife Lindell, who she's been by my side for 5 or 6, probably 8 years now, and
have a guess. How many do you reckon it really is?
She needs a medal, mate, for putting up with me, but.
I wish we could get her a flight from Sydney to Melbourne tonight. It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Can you?
We'll see what we can do. What about Barras?
Barras.
He's coached a few Brownlow medalists in the past, hasn't he?
He's been on me back for 2.5 years now. It's paid off.
It's the first year you haven't been reported for a while, you know.
Yeah. Barras has been great for the Sydney Football Club. He come when we were at a pretty bad stage, and we may not have been here today if Brass had not arrived and the AFL had got behind us. So to Brass, thanks very much. I think it all boils back to my good mate Barry Mitchell, who when he was in Sydney, he sort of took me under the wing and taught me what AFL football was about, and he showed me what you had to do to make it. So to Mitch, thank you.
Good on you, Paul. Mitch has just had a minor operation in the last week, but a couple of Mitch's mates also won Brownlow medals at Sydney. Greg Williams,
yeah, Diesel
and Jared Healing.
Yeah, Diesel and Jared. We've been pretty lucky up in Sydney, I suppose. But
I guess you're the first of the really homegrown boys, aren't you? I mean, Greg came from Melbourne up there, and Jared, they had great careers here before they went. But I remember Jared, we saw him a moment ago. He said to me 4 years ago, "You watch for that Kelly." He said he's a little beauty. And he was right, wasn't he? So the first Sydney homegrown man really to win it.
Yeah, it's magnificent, mate. I can't believe it.
Well, savour it for a moment. I don't think I've seen a more popular winner in a long, long time. What a year Paul's had. Captain for the 3rd time. We're not going to go away for a moment. Paul, I know you're just absolutely chuffed about being named in the Australian team on Monday, weren't you?
Yeah, I certainly was. That came as a surprise too. There's 100 blokes that could be named in that side, and to be picked for that was the highlight of my career up to then, and this has topped it off.
Now I think we're about to have a surprise for you. I think we're not far away, but we'll just go for a moment longer. Hey, can you tell us who's going to coach you next year? That might break the ice here for a moment.
I know, Barras might be able to tell us.
I know, he's not saying too much. And the guys that were close tonight, I mean, it was a great count, wasn't it, with the Couchy and Libber for a while, and Steinsy and Wayne?
Yeah, like I said, there's any one of like 10 or 15 or maybe 20 players that can win tonight, and it's fantastic, mate, fantastic.
Paul, we're attempting at the moment to get Lyndall an earpiece in Sydney at the same function that Tony's at, where there are 950 people there. There's Gavin, who won in 1993. And I think we're almost in a position where Lyndall might be able to have a chat to you. And she said, why did you leave her home, Paul?
I flew down last year and I didn't go any good, mate, so I thought I'd no chance this year.
It's a great night for you and for her. Plugger, lucky you came down. It's a bit of a twist of the arm. Now here's Lyndall. Now we've been told by the director she can't talk yet. I'm not sure why. or not, but I think we're pretty close to having a chat. I think Linda would be able to hear you right now, Paul. You'd be able to talk to her.
Lindell? Nah, she's got...
Yeah, she can hear you.
Go on, mate.
Yeah.
How are you?
Where did you meet, Paul?
She's a Wagga girl. Yeah. Not quite sure where we met, actually.
Derek Kickett just looking on a moment ago.
Yeah, Denise Kickett actually picked me about round 15. Unbelievable. Bit of that black magic, I think.
She's a good judge.
Yeah, well.
And hubby's a fair player.
I hope she put some money on me.
Well, you're pretty good odds. No doubt about that. Well, I think, unfortunately, we can't get a mic to Lyndall, but she's enjoying the night there. You can see her, Paul, and it's been a fantastic night for Sydney and a fantastic night for Paul Kelly. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1995 Brownlow Medal winner. We're going to take a break.
On May 19, 1995, an RACV insurance assessor went to see burglary victims in Broadmeadows. He got there to find the usual electrical goods had been stolen, along with every last stitch of the family's clothing. So our assessor wrote them a cheque there and then for $1,000, just to cover them till their claim was settled. He then organised a new microwave to be delivered that afternoon to warm the baby's food. We entrust our home assessors with checkbooks because we know you'd rather be given a cheque than the runaround. It's just one more way RACV Insurance treat you as a member, not a number.
Whether you're out back or in business, you can trust a Triton Ute.
You're telling me this white bread that's really high in fibre? I'd like to eat that.
Oh, just look at that pack! Fantastic!
A high fibre bread that's soft, white and fluffy? I'd like to eat that.
Oh, great work! Incredible handling!
You mean my little girl won't even know it's high in fibre? I'd like to eat that.
He's really cutting through there!
Something that's good for me that I'm actually going to enjoy? Man, I like to eat that.
Tip-top high five! Unbelievable!
So why do you want to go to the Pizza Hut again? Because it's Footy Works month, and you can get free Club 10 collected cards with the Kids Works.
You're not a kid.
I know that, but they named a pizza after me.
What, the Hungry Hawk?
Well, they're not going to name one after you, are they? Piggy?
No, I don't suppose they are.
Footy Works, $4.95 or $6.95, only at Pizza Hut.
Brush with a specially shaped diamond head from Colgate, and your teeth will always pass the tongue test. Front, back, all over. The diamond head from Colgate, for a clean you can really feel.
7:30 Thursday on Due South.
This is not your automobile.
Fraser's tracking down car thieves. With his trusty pet wolf in hot pursuits.
I've done this before, you know.
Oh, really?
He's going undercover.
I'd like to take a test drive.
Which car?
All of them.
And he's in over his head.
You keep your eyes closed.
Yes, I prefer that.
It's the funniest new show in years.
You're very good.
Thank you.
For head-on action and adventure, go Due South. 7:30 Thursday on 7. Coming up next, Bruce McAvaney, Malcolm Blight and Mike Sheehan with all the late mail and expert comments on this week's grand final in Talking Footy.
Welcome back to the Radisson in Melbourne. We have an opportunity for Paul Kelly to talk to his wife Lindell in Sydney right now. Paul, go your hardest. Lindell's there.
Lindell, how you going?
Charger!
Oh, that's fantastic.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, she just said it's been fantastic. She can hear you, Paul, so keep talking.
You should have come down, mate, I think.
Oh, I wish. Congratulations, fantastic. I wish I was there with you.
Yeah, me too. It's a good night up there.
I'm sure you'll have a good night now.
What was that?
Lindell,
I'm sure you'll have a good night now.
Yeah. Coming down?
Everyone loves you here.
Lindell, when did you think that Paul had a good chance of winning? Lindell, when did you think Paul had a good chance of winning?
About 20 minutes ago.
Well,
I would have been there. I wish I was.
well, it's a wonderful night, Lindell, for Paul and for you and for the Sydney Football Club. Congratulations.
We'll kick on here.
Paul, well done.
Thanks, Bruce.
A wonderful performance. Wearing the same number as Bobby Skilton used to wear, number 14, who won 3 Brownlow medals with the old Swans. Paul Kelly, the winner tonight of the 1995 Brownlow medal. Paul, go and take a break for a moment. Our champion in 1995. As we look at the leaderboards, after what was a sensational count, it's the team boards with Adelaide, Andrew Jarman, 13, had a terrific season. At Brisbane, Michael Voss, what a great young player he is, with Gilbert McAdam, 13 and 12. At Carlton, Koutafidis 12, Bradley 10. At Collingwood, Buckley 7, Rocker 7. Skilts. At Essendon, Long and Somerville, Bobby, 16 and 12. As we go to Fitzroy. Moving along to Fitzroy, Atkins and Hawkins, 6 each. Fremantle and Footscray. Footscray, Liver 14, Smith 12. Fremantle. And the leaders here, Chisholm and Allen, 13 and 9. Geelong. Paul Couch. Well, it was Paul Couch actually, not Liver. Paul Couch on 16. We go from Geelong to Hawthorn. Jarman 18, ineligible. At Melbourne, what a great year for Darren Jarman, the Jarman brothers at Melbourne. Look, we might just leave it there for a moment. I do have Bobby Skilton with me, the same number Skilts. Great for the Swans tonight.
Fantastic for Paul Kelly. Paul is just one of those players that gives his heart and soul week in, week out. He's an example for everybody of just how you play football.
Skilts has been a pretty good club over the years for Brownlow medalists, hasn't it?
It's been great, yeah. We haven't won too many premierships, though.
No, Skilts, but a great night for the Swans tonight.
No, terrific, and as I said, Paul is just a wonderful winner and a wonderful player.
Bobby, thanks for being part of the night tonight.
Thanks, Bruce. Thank you.
Bobby Skilton, the triple Brownlow medalist who wore the same number at the Swans as Paul Kelly. As we check the leaderboard for the final time, and Paul Kelly has won the 1995 Brownlow medal on 21. From Michael Long, Paul Couch, Robert Harvey, and Matty Knights all on 16. It was a magnificent night. And Jimmy Steins on 15. Well, for some stations, I'm dashing away now for Talking Footy. It's coming up right after the Brownlow medal. Don't forget Geelong and Carlton on Saturday afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed it. From the Carlton Radisson.
Stay tuned for the last Monday night edition of Talking Footy.